I'll be drawing pictures. Pictures. Oh, get the damn Nailsin News thing out. This isn't Nailsin News. I'm sorry. Well, a Nailsin show without Nailsin apologizing ad nauseum just wouldn't be a Nailsin show, would it? No. Wow. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to draw some pictures based on the elements, or, well, the story rather, the concern, as it were, of Nailsin Ratings videos. Now, these are at least one of them. The first one I've already put out in its edited form on my Chanyo. That would be both Rumble and what's that one? The one with it starts with a Y. Oh, YouTube. Yeah, it's on that. And that would be the Alien Earth announcement of a second season. So that'll be most of the discussion from your old pal, Mr. Nailsin, while I draw pictures based on it. The main star, the woman, I forget her real name. She's called Wendy. Although her real name is Marcy, the character, but she's called Wendy, and I did draw one for the series, did a little caricature of her and the xenomorph and all that. But here I'm going to do one that's like a profile shot of her for the duration, and then we'll move on to the next one, and so on and so forth. So it's quite a few I taped in advance, and they will be rolled out whilst I'm recuperating from being at work all night, Yeah. Because I'm diabetic, I'm old, I'm aging rapidly. Other people that are older than me look much younger and act well. Actually, I do. Some of them I look younger than they do. And that's my only real thing. But good God, the things they're able to do. And I'm like, oh my God. What happened? Well, I was a stupid fat slob who destroyed himself. So there you go. That's the answer. But anyway, that's all that. So I'll be doing that. So it'll be a combination of live, and tape. So let me put the. See, I wonder if I do it like this. See, or it'll look like that. Huh. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. But if I gotta like, oh crap, I gotta suddenly go piss, then I'll blow up the video segment, and that's all you'll see. Yeah, that'll explain that. Anyway, let me go ahead and whoops, put that on there. I taped a good bit for the Mr. Nailsin Show, which will be available from RadioMisfits.com or wherever you get your podcast come sometime Saturday. I've got 2 Bayou Crime Report stories with Red Neckerton. I've got the final episode of this season of The Cruise. So that won't come back until, well, normally October, but I'm thinking I need to start doing those like at least the final 2 weeks of September or something like that. So it can at least wrap up by the end of October. Because it's supposed to be a horror story, Yeah. So anyway, that'll be on there. I wanted another episode of Sun King, but I couldn't get to it. I feel awful. And so, once again, I'm sorry. See? Apologies ad nauseum. Yeah. So anyway, that's the dealio. That's what I'm going to do for this episode of Nailsin live. So I had to make a quick check that everything, works, and looks like it does. But yeah, I can never be sure, because I still don't know what I did to get it right. Oh my goodness, that's something, isn't it? Yeah. Oh crap! I hadn't thought of this. I wonder. There's the There's the volume. Maybe I'm turning this way up. And the hopes that you can, because this is just through the photo reviewer. Yeah. It's kind of interesting that it'll play it, rather than just put it in the media player and all that. But I don't know. I just did it that way. So we'll see how that works. So let me go ahead and test again to see if it comes through for you, the people. Is it? It's not coming through. You bastard. So this isn't going to work. All right. Let me. Oh, no, I don't need to do that. I just need to pause it. So audio. Oh, there it is. It's as simple as that. Wow. Uh, audio. Audio. Well, I want the audio to come through on the. You son of a bitch. You bastard. Come on. I got to be able to do, stuff. Well, that's not telling me anything. The first half of Alien Earth Season 1 was good. The second half, not so much. Yeah, it was a matter of would the good outweigh the bad? The answer was no. So it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? No. Wait, if I play it, will it? Let's see if that'll work. Uh, come on. Does that work? Oh man, I don't know. Jeez. Uh, all right. Yeah. No, that's working. All right. Oh my god. I guess I'll have to do this the other way. Um, man, it's right there. Why didn't it? I don't understand why it's doing that. That doesn't make any sense. Why? Oh, well, you're not seeing the OBS? How is it not seeing? It's right there. Just because of the mic was changed? All right, all right. Um, um, do it that way. Do it that But it's still not doing it. What the ever-loving hell? How could that make it lose the camera? Oh, man. Uh, damn. So it just doesn't hear this one. Why can't it hear it? Would it hear one of the others? Let's see. Open with. No. Did you hit the wrong one? Yeah, you did. Oh, God. Well, this is great, huh? Yep. Yeah, it sure is. It doesn't get any better than this. You won't see this on other shows. But you'll see it nearly every time on this one. And everything's set up. Everything. And then it just doesn't work. All right. See if this works a little better. All right. Otherwise, I don't know. Could just draw the picture, I guess, but I really don't want to do that. You're sharing the screen without sharing your system sound. Sharing system sound is supported only while sharing entire screen or specific tab. Oh, it's got to be the entire screen. So you can't see me draw the damn thing. Fuck. So I guess play the dumb thing and then draw it? God, that stinks. I wonder. I get system sharing system sound supported only while sharing entire screen or specific tab. So it'll work like this. Huh. All right. There's no sound coming through. Jeez. So that isn't true either. Um, no, damn it. I need my full thing there. It's probably not even going to load. What if I did that? But it's in AVI. It's not MP4, so that's probably not going to work either. I mean, how long ago? Well, I could put the edited one, which I already have out. Play that instead. Let's see here if it'll let me do it. Oh, there we go. That'll work. No, it won't. It doesn't. It won't say it. Yeah, I don't think this will work either. I could try it. Oh, it's saying it's uploading it. I'd rather doubt it. Is it actually going to do it? I don't think so. God, 20 minutes into this. All right. So it looks like I only have one other option. Not what I wanted to do, but all right. All right. It's going to be that way. Damn, where do I go? Okay. I'll just get the one I already put up, and then I guess while that's going on, convert the other ones. This, this, this. There it is. No, that's not it. Where the hell are you? Oh, it's still loading. All right. Windows Media encountered an error. What error? I don't know. Says it did. Whatevs. You can go now. Oh, wait. You got to be over. Yeah. Okay. Huh? You can do it like that? Holy crap. That's not how I meant for it to be. Jeez. What the hell did it just do? There. Oh, it jumped to the. Okay, I see what it did. All right. Oh my god. All right. Down, down, down. Doobie doo doo doo. Yeah, that's it. Now, I wonder. Does it? It doesn't. So you can only play it. All right. So now I still can't do what I wanted to do. So it's going to have to be in between. I don't know. Unless I do it like that, maybe. And then you could do the. No. No, that don't work either. All right, so I'll play the video. I'll come back and do the drawing afterwards. Sorry. What a colossal cluster this is. But that's typical, isn't it? I think so. St. Ranger says, hi, Doug. St. Ranger says, Pat uploaded a show on YouTube from earlier tonight, uploaded 1 hour ago, but it is now taken down. Huh. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's having technical difficulties too. I don't know, but this is whatever it is. All right, here's the video. Enjoy. Well, it appears, amazingly enough, Alien Earth will get a second season. Well, it's not all that amazing. I mean, I think it garnered quite an audience. There's a lot of excitement for it, myself included. There was a lot of cool elements, mostly aesthetically, some teases to possibilities and whatnot. But ultimately, it came down to the question that had to be answered by the end of the season was, would the bad outweigh the good? And the answer was yes. I didn't like that. I hated it because so much of it looked really cool, and I was hoping, but episode after episode, it became obvious. Oh, jeez. Will the second one rectify things, tighten it up? I doubt it. There's a lot of, foolhardiness that's already occurred, but, after seeing Predator Badlands, I'm thinking Alien Earth should have just been a movie. They just didn't have the material to stretch it out for a series. Anyway, so FX is sticking with Alien Earth. Variety reports the series has officially been renewed for season number 2, with creator Noah Hawley also signing a huge new overall deal with FX and Disney Entertainment Television. The site says the deal lands in the 9-figure range. Wow! Keeping Hawley locked in as one of Disney's top TV creatives. Season number 2 heads into production in London in 2026. I thought they shot this like in Thailand and stuff. But anyway, the first season was, shot in Thailand before debuting in August. FX chairman John Landgraf praised Hawley's work, saying the network is ready to push ahead with the next chapter. Oh, look, she's got a pet xenomorph. Thank you. She makes her little noises and stuff, and then he wags his tail. Hawley called the expanded deal an opportunity to push new ideas across Disney's TV division. He credited FX for backing his approach since Fargo, saying oh wow, what if they do it that way with Alien Earth and it jumps around different eras and stuff? Maybe a whole new cast. I mean, oh well. Anyway, he credited FX for backing his approach as Fargo, saying the network encouraged him to take creative risks. Yeah, a few, but you really didn't. You dropped the ball with this one. Fargo, okay. Legion, kind of fizzled toward the end. It had some problems, but it was better than this. I don't know. Maybe he's lost it. Anyway, Hawley also confirmed he plans to continue exploring the world of Alien Earth as season number 2 takes shape. Disney Television Studios president Eric Schreier added that Hawley remains one of the most distinctive creators working in TV, and that the studio is excited to broaden his work beyond FX. Yeah, but if it starts costing more than it puts out, then he's done. Anyway, season 1 starred, this lady and all that cast. The first season followed a young woman played by Cindy Chandler and a group of soldiers who uncover a threat tied to a Well, Hawley first arrived at FX with Fargo in 2014, and it was awesome. It was great. It's probably his best work. Man, that was a great season of television. Went on to deliver 5 seasons, winning multiple Emmys and Golden Globes. His work on the FX Marvel series, Legion, also cemented his reputation as a creator with a style fans instantly recognize. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some similarities aesthetically between Legion and Fargo, even though it would seem unlikely. But no, yeah, I can see what they mean by that. But with Alien, not really. I mean, there's weird people in it, but it's all explainable because they're androids and stuff. But Alien Earth is a latest extension of his long partnership with FX, and it now sits alongside new projects Disney already has in development with him. Well, if he flops this, and he damn near did, I don't know how many are going to return for season number 2 after the disappointment of that first season. I don't know. It's too bad because, man, it looked great. It had a lot of cool stuff. And then I'm like, what are you doing? What? Oh no, And then those damn rock songs. They went full Willow that way. You never go full Willow. And by Willow, I mean the TV series. I know you can't watch it. It was so bad Disney dropped it so they wouldn't have to pay residuals and stuff. And it's just a damn shame. But anyway, Alien Earth. Can he right the ship in a second season? I don't know. I'm dubious at this point. And I'm kind of surprised because he is a great talent. Oops, forgot I turned that off. Holly, are you doing that? No. But he is a great talent. He really is. And I don't know. Overwhelmed or something? I mean, you could see the money in this thing. So, man, to take all that and deliver this sort of thing that fizzles out, I don't know. Well, we'll see. But you can hope for the best, but hope's not a strategy and all that. But then again, Badlands, sure, it's got its problems, but it's all right. If only Alien Earth could have at least done that. Yeah. Well, it didn't. But let's see what it does when it takes a number 2. Oh, yeah, you're going to want to check out all that stuff. Oh, yeah, see that? Oh, yeah, BitChute. I keep forgetting. I do have videos there, too, Yeah, you can follow me in all these places. It's great. That's fantastic. So there you go. That's the first video. So now I got to draw the main character, Wendy, from Alien Earth. By the way, Saint Ranger, if you're still here, sorry, as I struggle to make this happen. Now I realize I should have done the whole thing through OBS. Mersh is right about that. But I'm stupid. Anyway, the deal is, Saint Rain. Okay, you're still there. Yeah. What Pat did was he uploaded 2 shows, and then went and started another one almost immediately. But it was set to members only. So I guess you go to his channel, you can see the members only. I'm looking at it now, and I can see what he did. Yeah, he's got one called You Tell Me, streamed 4 hours ago. Then he has You Tell Me number 2, and it's members only. So if you're not a member of his channel, then yeah, you can't watch it. Uh, and my guess is it was streamed live because I think he can make all of these members only if he wanted to, even if it was public to begin with. I think. But anyway, he probably made this one members only altogether. So that one ended an hour ago. So there you go. There you go. He did 2 shows. He did You Tell Me, and then the sequel, You Tell Me, #2. There you go. Good Lord. All that. I didn't really pay attention as much to his thumbnail art with the post-it notes. It's like a pile of them, this woman standing around staring at. Ah, jeez. Ah, that's great stuff. If only the other story didn't get in the way. But, well, what are you going to do? You know? All right, Wendy from Alien Earth, who is an android, but with a child's mind transplanted inside, which does make it creepy because she's an adult and she's an attractive lady. But hey, you know, um, but as I'm sure, and I think they pretty much established that by the ending of the show, it's not really the girl. She does have the memories and all of that. And she, of course, that means she has affection for what she perceives as her brother, but she's just an android facsimile of the girl. Well, and mentally anyway, and all of that. So now it's like, who am I? What am I? So they're all upset. The androids at the end of the show and all that. So the next season, I'm certain, would explore that and all that sort of thing. So let's see. Probably do this more character style. So we can't see her cheek from the other side on the. No. That's not how her chin goes. Oh, I better turn up the light here. There, that might help a little. Damn it, these pencils just don't want to be here. Well, you're here. That's it. You know who decides whether you're here or not? Me! That's who. Damn pencils. Your lot in life is the service. Me! No, don't worry, it's just pencils. They don't have souls. So he has a nose. Not quite like that. It is rather prominent. It's a nice nose. She's a pretty girl, but she probably hates her nose. You know how these girls, no matter how pretty they are, they always hate something. And you got to constantly, you're beautiful. No matter how many times, they never believe you. And sometimes it's kind of interesting when you got a woman who kind of hides her beauty so much. She doesn't really believe in it and stuff and just isn't aware just how hot she is. Sometimes when she becomes absolutely aware of it, it kind of ruins the whole thing. It's kind of sad how life unfolds, But anyway, boy, that went off on a tangent, didn't it? Yeah. But so Wendy is basically the leader of the hybrids, which really isn't all that much of a hybrid. They're just androids with the memories, feelings, all that of actual human beings uploaded into them. So they don't have some pre-written program that someone just puts together when they decide to give them personality. It's kind of like in the Predator Badlands where you had those androids. Those were programmed, to be a good facsimile of human beings, to do the exploration and whatnot that they wanted, to get the samples or the creature they were trying to capture and all that on a planet that humans just couldn't go to. It's too dangerous. And but they programmed some sort of reasonable human sort of personality. Although for the most part, with Alien, all the androids were a little off. They're kind of creepy. It was kept as a surprise. Oh yeah, surprise! One of the crew members on Alien is not what he seems. He's an android, and they didn't know that. But you know, he's kind of a weird dude, and so it's sort of like that deal with, well, not sort of like it, exactly what it is. You're led to believe one of the characters on the Maginot, the doomed ship that crashed on Earth at the beginning of Alien Earth, and then you get the flashback story that tells you what happened there, and which is probably one of the better episodes of the season. And so you get that, and they had this character on there. He's a weird, creepy dude who's, you know, kind of preying on one of the young women in there, and the captain's like, leave her alone, that, but he's just really weird, staring at her and stuff. All that. He's like, gee, I wonder, it's like the programming went bad, and he's developed like a sexual fascination with this woman, and being all weird. And and you think, yeah, I guess that's possible. But in the end, no, he wasn't an android, because he's like, I mean, sure, they put the personality into it and stuff, but I don't know. He's like the xenomorph takes care of him, and, he's like afraid and all that. And he's screaming at the end there. So I think he was just a creep. And it falls under and I think even Holly spoke to this about, they were talking about how crappy the crew was, and really well, not the captain, he was the security chief or whatever. The captain was already had a face hugger, so it tells you how competent he was. But he was the only competent member of the crew. The rest of them were just incredibly inept and stupid. And so Holly spoke to, well, consider. And I'll give him that. It's actually true. Is to consider what's called for in these jobs, to lose like decades of your life, to go out into deep space, which is going to take that long for you to complete the job, the mission, what have you. And that's what they would do. And it's like, well, who's going to sign up for that? Well, not the best. So, you had criminals and all that, and trash, and weird, creepy guys like the idiot that everyone thought was an android, but, well, he wasn't. And so that explains him. So it looks like they didn't have an android. I don't think they did. Which seems like they would have sent one, because on the other hand, it was a pretty important mission. They didn't just bring back a xenomorph; they had several. They had a damn zoo on that ship of all these alien critters. So, but good help is hard to find. And he said, "Hey, man, we're going to pay you this amount." Blah blah blah. Really? Okay. What's the catch? Well, you're going to spend 60 years in deep space. You're going to sleep through most of it, and when you get back, everyone you know is dead. And the world would have moved on in great leaps and bounds. You'll be a little lost when you come back, but you'll be rich. He's like, well, So some of these, I mean, you could probably even argue they're probably were convicted felons. And Wayland Utani comes along and says, hey, can you give us some of those? We're going to train them to go out and be, interstellar explorers and shit. And especially since most of them were intending for them to be impregnated by some parasitic alien, we really don't want to feel too bad about it, in case we do. And so if they're just pieces of crap, Who cares? Of course, there is that thing that the xenomorphs, they take on attributes of their hosts. So a lot of that is just, well, some physicality is there to make they kind of have more human uh, attributes to them. Is somewhat. I mean, you kind of miss it at first, but if you look closely, that. And of course, it's some guy in a suit. So that explains that. Probably other versions of them would look very different. But anyway, but what if they took on certain genetic predispositions to being horrific monsters because they were already so maybe there is a nice guy xenomorph out there somewhere. I doubt it because apparently they were engineered to be these weapons. But well, who knows? And then they're probably going to do something of that nature with Wendy and her little pet xenomorph because somehow through magic she has the ability to communicate with them. How the hell is that? They're going to have to explain that. They got to explain how she's able to control computers just by looking at them and that sort of thing and touching a monitor screen. They don't. The other hybrids, they're fast and they're super strong and stuff like that. They don't have, her like X-Men powers or whatever. So, they needed to put something in there. It really needed to be there within that first, something. Because the problem they have there is like the whole point initially for the boy genius, whatever, his Prodigy, that was his company. They're basically running this scam that they were going to sell immortality to people. Say, getting old, coming close to the grave? Well, now you can have a brand new super powerful body, and all you got to do is, pay us $1 trillion or whatever, and we'll upload your mind into this new body that's better than the one you had, even when you were a youngin', and all that. And like, wow, you can't beat that. And so there they go. They were going to do that, but in the end, they weren't really sure that the process actually worked. And they just figured, hey, good enough to sell it. And I would argue it didn't work. And I think that's pretty much the conclusion of what they began to realize by the end. But nevertheless, no explanation for why Wendy has all these other superpowers. And so they needed to come along with something like that. And they said, oh, maybe it's part of the this or the that we did that she took to, but the others didn't, or something. But for them to go, huh? She can do that? Huh? But you created her, you built her. I mean, you don't know? And well, they didn't. So yeah, that doesn't really work. So I assume it would be at least an attempt at some responsibility for the narrative that they've crafted. That in the follow-up season, they'll explain some of that, although it's supposed to take place 10 years later. So I don't know. And if they do that, okay. But the problem is it doesn't really fix the error because at least the main guy would have known, wouldn't he? I mean, like there was a possibility that the hybrids would have that kind of ability to somehow, I don't know, have a psychic link to alien creatures that not one of them have ever encountered before. Yeah. Well, better luck next time, I guess. I don't know, but he says, "Hey, it's all open to interpretation, and it's a surprise." No, you can't just throw it all to that. You're being cool and surreal and stuff like David Lynch or something. Because the bulk of the movie just isn't that. Sure, there's mysteries and where did this go, but something like that, it's just not believable that he would have no clue. Now, of course, oh, well, you kind of had to figure out, because if you anticipated her ability, certainly to control all technology and computers and whatnot, um, you better figure out how to clamp that down, because what happened in the end is what happened. She takes over the whole damn complex. So, or he could just chalk it up to his arrogance, that he thought he could just smooth talk her like he always did, and she'd stay loyal and all that. Well, she threw a hissy fit, and so now, you're in trouble. So, uh-oh. But then all you had to do was come up with something that, yes, his arrogance is his downfall, but that he thought he had a fail-safe program, but she outsmarted him and figured it out how to bypass it, something of that nature. Not just, huh? What? I'm boy genius. It's like, are you? Huh. Put some damn shoes on. Jeez. It's disgusting. He's walking around that infested lab with God knows what kind of parasites, but he's got to be hip or something. So he walks around barefoot all over the place. He was a miserable bastard, which, I mean, you're supposed to dislike him because eventually he's going to get taken out, you know. But then he wasn't. He's still alive. But it'll be 10 years later. I mean, they got to kill him off screen, I guess. I don't know. He'll probably still be around. But in the end, so the supposed heroine of the story, she isn't. She did some really evil things. So I don't know who the hero is. I guess the brother, that poor milquetoast guy, but not by much. I guess it comes down that he's like, the only thing he has left of his beloved sister is this facsimile of her, and it's going to be hard for him to have to pull the trigger and kill her because she's become a terrible threat. And he's going to be, he's crying as he does it. But or then he can't do it in the end, and then the xenomorph kills her, her pet xenomorph. I don't know, maybe something like that. But in the end, she's a mockery of his dearly departed sister. So there you go. Yeah. So all right, there's Wendy. There she is. Guess I'll color that and probably save it for Alien Earth #2. And we'll see how that one goes. Will they resolve these issues? I doubt it, because I think it's a little late to do. But I don't know. I don't know. I haven't made any TV shows, so what do I know? Frank says, "You guys talking about ladies? Well, a reasonable facsimile of one in the show." Nodak, hit the like button. Yeah, that's a good idea. If you're getting a little tired, you need to flex or something, go ahead and hit that like button. That'll take care of, stuff. All right, let's go get the other video. I guess I can go ahead and get rid of that one. We won't be visiting that again unless you go over to my channel and watch it again. There it is. Yeah, that'd be great. So that's the deal with Alien Earth. And the things with movies or franchises or what have you, the likes of which Alien Earth or Alien overall is you've got to ask and answer the question, what other story is there to tell? Now, with Alien, you have to conclude it can't just be, well, you're trapped and the xenomorph's coming to get you. So your best bet is to expand the universe, which Alien Earth was trying to do. They threw in some elements there. They concerned themselves with this warlike atmosphere between the corporate entities that govern the Earth and all that. More like gang war atmosphere. And there was always the reference to a colonial war in the Alien films. So they could have dealt with some of that in latter films, but they never really did. Alien 3 came along, what a missed opportunity. They really should have at least revisited the space jockey, which eventually Ridley Scott did with Prometheus, but that's it had some interesting elements to it. And then Alien Covenant's it's the absolute worst Alien movie in a lot of ways. I know there's bad Alien movie. Alien 3 is terrible. Alien 4 is like, what are you doing? But in a lot of ways, Alien Covenant is just so stupid. But anyway, yeah, they don't delve in some other elements or angles or setups they could have used, because in the end, yeah, it's a monster movie. The monster's going to get you, that sort of thing. But they could have explored the colonial war or the space jockey. At least they approach space jockey just not very well. So that leaves, perhaps there's more out there, because it's one of the things that Ridley Scott did was he shrunk the alien universe to where the alien isn't really an alien. It's like a cousin to humanity. So you know, I mean, what? So the expansion of it with these other creatures that were discovered by the Maginot, that does some amount of expansion for their overall universe. And hey, that could be cool. It could. And they could explore that further. They tease some elements. Is this happening? Is that happening? You know, and that sort of thing. One can only hope that they've mapped out some of that for an outline or what have you to pursue in later scripts. But I'm always dubious on that, because, you know, since Lost, you know, a lot of people just throw it up against the wall, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, we'll see what they do. But that's the thing. What's your answer to the question of what other story is there to tell? You had two great Alien movies, the first one and the second one. And since then, nobody has come close to matching that at all. Alien Romulus, it made its money, so there's that. But ultimately, it had some stupid in it. A missed opportunity. But it wasn't as bad as Covenant or Alien 4 or Alien 3. So, you know, I'll give it that. But, yeah, not enough. Alien Earth had high hopes for us, so, of course, that limits the objectivity, and that the expectations were higher than they probably should have been. But that doesn't excuse the delivery, which was poor. It was poor. I don't like it being poor. Anyway, at least it's not Star Trek, which is in horrible shape thanks to Alex Kurtzman's Secret Hideout and all that. But now there's a rumor that sparks some amount of hope. So we'll watch that video, and then I'll be back to, I guess, draw pictures of Star Trek characters. That'll be something. It'll be something. Will it be all that great? Well, we'll see. We'll see. I've done it before. No, really. Anyway, be back in a bit. Well, looks like Paramount is wiping out Kurtzman Star Trek right out of its keister with Simon Kinberg reboot, claims rumor. All right, so following the news, the Skydance is ditching the J.J. Abrams Star Trek universe. Now a new rumor claims Star Trek is about to get a full cinematic reboot, and Paramount has tapped Simon Kinberg to rebuild the entire franchise from the ground up. The rumor again comes via the Tachyon Pulse podcast on YouTube. It says Kinberg's film is being developed as the start of a brand new trilogy that will replace everything from the Alex Kurtzman era. According to the YouTuber, Paramount wants the first movie in theaters around Christmas 2027. Wow. Man, that is really pushing it, I think. Or early 2028. Well, maybe that's more likely. But anyway, right after the current batch of shows run out the clock. Yep, that means new owner Skydance will be canceling the Alex Kurtzman Star Trek once the contract ends. It's their only option. Yeah. But I mean, the good news is they're going to try something else, so there's that. But I was expecting it, well, we'll let it go dormant for a while and revisit it later. Yeah. But anyway, the YouTuber describes the project as a hard reset. Paramount executives reportedly told Kinberg and his team this movie marks the beginning of something new and will serve as the line that separates future Star Trek from everything Kurtzman and Secret Hideout produced. The movie is said to take place after Enterprise, but before the original series, so during a period of Federation history that has barely been explored on screen. Well, they insinuated they were with Kurtzman and all that, but it was horrible and bad, and oh god, why go through it again? But so it's interesting that this will be a hard reboot. It just means they're jettisoning the crap, you know. They're going to have to do a cleanse, you know. And once that's all out of there, well, then they can start over with a new diet of actual science fiction and connect it with the original era of Star Trek that came to a close with the cancellation of Enterprise. So at first I thought a hard reboot means everything previous didn't happen, and this is akin to J.J. Abrams, so maybe even without the alternate timeline business and all that. And I'm like, well, but here, no, they're just going to forget all this secret hideout crap. It can go back into its secret self and be forgotten. The YouTuber calls it Star Trek Origins, explaining that it will follow the early expansion of the Federation and build toward the creation and launch of the Enterprise. Well, they already had an Enterprise in Enterprise, so if it's going to take place after Enterprise, you had an Enterprise. You mean the main one we know, you know, the Constitution class? Maybe that's what they mean. Anyway, he adds that the concept has evolved because Paramount's new leadership wants more freedom and fewer restrictions than what existed when the project first started. Tachyon Pulse claims Paramount wants 3 films mapped out before a single frame is shot. Well, that's a good idea. Of course, you have to allow for some amount of flexibility. You know, some actors might not be able to return, or they get mad, the director throws a hissy fit, and you got to kind of work it around. Then, of course, if there's going to be any locations, of course, a lot of this could be AI and green screen, volume screen, whatever you want to call it, that kind of thing. So that'll save some problems. But nevertheless, if there actually is location shots and stuff, and sometimes weather, whatever, you want to go to some other country and a civil war breaks out, oh no. So you got to be a little flexible on that. So, but still, your overall outline and plot and whatnot, especially if and that's another bad thing, they're presenting this overall story rather than individual things. Star Trek works as a TV series for the most part. Movies can celebrate what it is, but anyway, they want a trilogy, so all right. The trilogy would become the backbone of the franchise for several years. It already had a backbone. Anyway, the studio may pause all television development until at least the first movie is oh boy. So there's no new TV show. And if this movie flops, well, then it's probably going to go to the dormant thing, you know. He doesn't believe, the Tachyon Pulse doesn't believe Paramount will eventually wait 8 years to greenlight a show the trilogy hits. But the current plan appears to be a long break from Star Trek on television. And that's terrible, but it's what the Kurtzman Secret Hideout has done to the brand, you know. if the rumor is that, of course, there's probably not enough television writers left now. I don't know. They're capable of carrying a show like that. They do one story and stretch it out over 10 episodes. And it's ridiculous. Anyway, if the rumor is accurate, it stands to reason it could be. It's not, absurd and ridiculous. And this talk about an origin of the Federation has been tossed around for a long time. So, yeah, there's probably something to that. So anyway, the rumor, both Starfleet Academy and Familiar Old Worlds will end sometime in 2027. Yes, I think Academy only has 2 seasons. They have to hurry up and shoot those back to back. And Strange New Worlds just got canceled, and their 5th season is just going to be a shortened send-off thing. So yeah, that's a done deal. And the studio will shift production to Pinewood Studios in Toronto. The idea is to reuse sets and keep costs down while launching the reboot. So a lot of the sets from especially Familiar Old Worlds, and probably they did spend I think a considerable amount for the sets of Starfleet Academy. What a waste of money. But it can be repurposed for their Federation origin thing, you just turn it around backwards and stuff. No one will notice. Anyway, the biggest claim is that Paramount wants nothing to do with Kurtzman canon once the deal with Secret Hideout expires. Well, that's very wise. Nobody likes it. Nobody. There's plenty of metrics for that. So they're coming in and they actually got the real metrics. You look at those books and everything and for what you bought and you're like, holy crap, why are we bleeding money on this thing? Yeah. So they're going to do a movie, and in a way, it's kind of what they did, even though the company and the rights were split up. But J.J. Abrams comes in, they do a Star Trek feature film franchise, and the first movie is a hit. It's like, oh, well, man, we got something here. And then, not long after that, they start up a TV series, and they thought, well, Star Trek is back. And then, we saw the TV show. And then the sequel into crapness and all that. Oh, my God. But you can see the idea of garnering excitement for the franchise and whatnot. And now you got these 2 entities, a TV series and a film series, which... yeah, and they had way back when, in the 80s into the 90s, with Next Generation on television and the old cast doing their movies. So they think that's a model to keep pursuing. So, all right. Yeah. But I really want a TV series. So, I don't know. Tachyon Pulse says Paramount will ignore the Romulan supernova from Picard. Ignore the Borg twist in season 3. Yeah. And avoid acknowledging... well, yeah, whatever. Avoid acknowledging characters and storylines created during the Kurtzman years. You might as well. Yep, you might as well. He claims that this is partly because Secret Hideout owns its original contributions, and Paramount doesn't want to negotiate for them. Oops, see, something finally works out with Kurtzman. You don't have to revisit that crap ever again. Instead, any future series would follow classic canon from the Berman era forward, while quietly pretending the last decade of shows never happened. Yeah, that's for the best. The YouTuber also says the new film needs to be a prequel because Paramount wants a clean slate without breaking established continuity. Why not just say the established continuity is the prequel? My idea is, all right, you can do movies, but you need a strong television series to reestablish what Star Trek was. And that's just a new ship, new crew, in a future era beyond Next Generation and the original series. You can have an occasional nod or mention to elements and even character names from those years, but like historical figures and stuff. But that's it. You got to stand on your own and move forward. That's what they need to do. Now, in a roundabout way, they're not doing it. No, because they'll be in the past. Another prequel. At one time, a Pike series I was very interested in. You've squandered the goodwill on something like that. That's unfortunate. I think Anson Mount could have done a good job had he gotten the chance. He didn't. So that's gone. The Romulan War, and that would actually make for, if they do that with the movie series, there's potential there. And the challenge is to try to orchestrate that, a war where the combatants never meet. That's an interesting thing. There was a script, I believe, or maybe just an outline for an idea, and I think that would have been a series, but I suppose they could do it with the movie too. But it was about a ship that was a part of it. It was going to be like the Odyssey, where they go to the Great War with the Romulans. It ends, but this one starship, its warp core doesn't work anymore, and so they're having to go the long way back home, and along the way they encounter strange new worlds, and so you got a little something there. It could be an offshoot of the Romulan War overall. So as this trilogy unfolds, the Romulan War could be something that they do. But again, that's the creative challenge of how do you do that? And really do it. Probably the best way is that they never see them. You don't even depict the Romulans. And they're lobbing nuclear missiles across space at each other. So that's how it was described, I think, in the old show. But anyway, that would be cool. Hard to achieve because you're like, oh, they're just standing around on the ship. Well, you know, you're going to need someone who's got the writing chops, Figure it out. That's what you're paid to do. Anyway, the period between Enterprise and the original series contains only vague historical references, and the studio reportedly likes the freedom that comes with that. Well, that's true. You just can't step on those references that they did establish. Beyond that, well, the sky's the limit. The movie would explore the early Romulan and Klingon reactions to Federation expansion without contradicting anything already locked into canon. So there you go. Yeah, Klingon. I got my own personal beefs with how to do that, but I guess it's never going to happen. So, yeah, they'll do that. So you'll see the Klingons, I'm sure. But the Romulans, nobody sees them until Kirk and the Enterprise encounter them. So that would be the cooler interaction, because it's going to be really hard to do. So anyway, Tachyon Post stresses that the entire thing is still a rumor. Yeah, but this is the thing about rumors. They can be true. They can be false. More times than not, they're somewhere in between. So some of these elements kind of lines up, that, this would be a direction. But then again, something else comes along and they scrap those plans. It doesn't mean they weren't thinking about it or thinking this is where we're going or whatever. But then they, wait a minute, let's do it this way. And then there you go. And again, a lot of this sounds familiar of other ideas they've had for a long time. So they're dusting it off, have somebody come in. Simon Kinberg comes in, looks at it, that kind of thing. So anyway, but he says multiple people in and around the project have told him the same details. A lot of smoke. There could be fire. His next video will supposedly cover the evidence he's gathered so far. Well, that's nice. But anyway, yeah, there's no way you can hang on to Secret Hideout. Boy, Doug Jones really did look like an alien. What a waste of money and good makeup and stuff. It had some things, a waste of Anson Mount. Yeah. This was a great cast, but yeah. Oh, well. Time to move on, And unfortunately, this is some alternate universe that for some reason dominated the Trek franchise for a while. And then everyone's going to move on and forget it ever happened. Well, that's too bad, but It's the only way. And that's the truth of it all, isn't it? Yeah, yes. So now you know what I'm going to draw. Yes. Star Trek. Yeah, one of the things about those pre-made ones like that, I do have the music playing in the background. It's just too bad I couldn't get this to work, but I'm betting if I run it through OBS entirely, it would have worked. Yeah. Oh, well, but boy, I tell you, it does give me a chance to get up and go to the bathroom, make another cup of coffee. All that's, yeah, yeah, oh, yeah, well. Well, let's see. We can do that. Down to that level. Damn it, maybe. Something like that. There, see? It provides ambiance. Yeah, there you go. There's anyway, let me draw these Star Trek characters. Oh, this will be the Strange New Worlds characters, which it's all very sad that it turned out the way it did, but what are you gonna do? So, see, this would be so much better if I could have done this while the damn thing was playing. I'm going to be saying the same crap. But yeah, Captain Pike series. At one time of those years, so yeah, I would have been interested in seeing that. But they didn't do it right. Your only saving grace here is that, well, it's an alternate timeline and it doesn't count and all that. Well, then what's the point, you know? So, of course, again, that would be one that would be kind of hard to pull off in the sense that, oh, they want to put Spock in there because Spock is such a recognizable, iconic character of the franchise and all that. You want that there so you could sell crap with Spock's face on it. And, well, yeah, but you can't really use him all that much in the show because then it takes away the growth of his character that was originally witnessed when in the original show and the films and all that. So the only way to do it is Spock is one of the lesser characters of the show. He's kind of like, Sulu and Chekhov were in the original show. And occasionally you give them something, but the main characters would be Captain Pike, number one. They never did cast Dr. Boyce, and granted, it was only one episode with the Cage, but they, it was presented as if, Pike had some long friendship with the guy. So, granted, it was a template to be handed off to what was to come with Bones and all that, but, it was what was established. But, of course, hey, look, it's alternate universe, so we can do whatever we want. Crap. So whatever. So that's what they did. But yeah, that would be the setup of it. You can't have Spock be one of the main characters like he was in the original show because all that stuff hadn't happened yet. If you do a bunch of stuff about, he's got to deal with emotions and not having any and all that, and then he's just going to do it all again later on when Kirk's in command. Wait a minute. This won't work. I always forget the space that I have. So you see the problem. I mean, by the time you get to Kirk, unless they do an episode where he gets shot in the head or something and he's got partial amnesia and he's got to relearn all this stuff. Well, they were stupid, and they had Nurse Chapel on there, which the actress who played her was absolutely super duper hot, you know. But I mean, you could have had an episode where she shows up as like a guest star or something, but not as the main nurse on the ship like she is years later after her husband died on that planet. And, you know, it's a long winded story. But anyway, you, you gotta have some sensibility of what's already been established, and that's the limitations of prequel. If you're not gonna do that, you might as well do something completely new. You know, you could have had this whole same cast, but they're all different characters. But they didn't have the balls for that. They wanted something already established, so there'd be an established. They thought an established audience. You just put Star Trek on it, and they'll watch it, and it didn't go that way. I don't think it goes that way for most anything. I mean, they'll hang on for a while. It's going to get better, right? You know? But even if you accepted all of it, then that was the problem. Well, they really missed the boat on this being a decent prequel, you know. But other than that, it's all right. I mean, that would be a hard pill to swallow to begin with, but not really. So, well, it's better than Star Trek Discovery, which, you know, well, so is watching paint dry. So, I will give it to them that they did have one episode in their, yeah, I think it was the second season. That was pretty much like a Star Trek episode. You know, it was I was shocked. Yeah. It had stupid in it, but it was actually pretty good. Granted, it was kind of making itself almost kind of sort of a follow up or sequel to well, not necessarily a sequel, but references the cage and the mission that Pike had before the cage happens and all that. But at least they're delving into something Star Trek instead of ripping off Alien and all that type of stuff, which they did to the Gorn. So now they're impregnating people with eggs of their lizard babies. I mean, come on. I mean, that whole thing was just, it was like they even had their own Newt character and everything. It was just shameless. I mean, just lazy. Looked good. They spent money on the show. All the sets looked cool. The alien worlds. I think that one was actually one of the ones that was an actual new world. So every now and then, for a show called Strange New Worlds, you don't get that many. The one that I liked that actually technically speaking was an old familiar world because it was the previous mission that Pike had gone on before the cage. So you can't even get that. But it was just, a squandering of talent, a waste of that sort of thing, and possibilities, and most of all, money. And well, that's just a shame. What are you gonna do? Well, they're gonna scrap it all and start over. And so, even so, there were always certain possibilities for the narrative of a Star Trek Enterprise show with the Captain Pike years. You've ruined the landscape for it, or however you want to put it. It's just not interested because, hey, you don't know what you're doing, do you? And there you are. It's a shame, but what are you going to do? So, Strange New Worlds is no more. They've already canceled it. They're shooting the final season, uh, and then who knows? But of course, it's looking like Paramount wants to pursue movies, at least in the outset. But I think a television series is where Star Trek belongs. That being said, I do understand the necessity of trying to maintain the movie business so that you can at least make money on those ticket sales. You know, because there's a plateau to that subscription model, and once you reached it, you've reached it. So, for the most part, Strange New Worlds had a lot of stupid CW level dialogue. It was very, very inept and concerning things that, hey, just don't think about it and it'll make sense. And you just can't unsee that, you know. Say, well, but it looks cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not doing this justice at all. No. And overall, the all the Secret Hideout era shows, I mean, sci-fi concept was just gone. It just wasn't there. And they and then anything that says, well, that's kind of interesting, then you come find out. No, they stole that from this. I mean, like Alien, of course, I recognized immediately. Some of the stuff from Dune, but wasn't really up on different video games. And so, sure enough, they stole from those too. So, and then constantly trying to be silly and whatnot. Boobs aren't that big. Um, so it's my lame attempt at drawing the Nurse Chapel character, but not really doing her justice. She's a very, very pretty girl. Um, but they should have cast her as an original character, not Nurse Chapel. And then they just did that so they could have this soap opera between her and Spock. Well, sure, the original show has elements of that, but it's mostly Nurse Chapel had a crush on Spock. Spock never had a crush on Nurse Chapel. He banged other broads. He didn't bang her. He felt sorry for her and stuff, you know, but he just wasn't into her. So here it's like, well, they got him being more in love with her than she is, you know, that sort of thing. But there's no way you can continue the same ultimate story. So it's like eventually they did an episode that acknowledges, oh, there's been so much time travel in the time, well, not time war. What do they call it? Oh, the temporal Cold War. Doesn't sound like it was all that cold. And yeah, this is terrible. This ain't gonna work. Uh, so you follow the logic through that, you realize, oh, they're acknowledging that it's not the original Star Trek. universe or whatever. So then, well, okay, it frees you up to do whatever you want, or to continue on in your laziness and the approach to it. So now that's what they did. And then there's the whole thing of the Vulcans and his wife and their banging and all that stuff. Yeah, that's not what they did. It's not. It's not how they do it. They're aliens, But yeah, they didn't know that. They just wanted it to be, a soap opera. And that's essentially what it was. And then, oh, wait, there's an alien and stuff, and it's probably dangerous. Well, okay. It's a lot of money wasted. And it looks like at some point there was a push for it because Strange New Worlds was getting more money for its budget than STD was. They gave them some for their send off. But for a while there, because the STD, when it first came on, you could see they spent a buttload of money on it. You'd never seen a Star Trek show with that kind of budget. And, but, crap stories. So it was a waste of money. But nevertheless, that's what they did. Then all of a sudden it started, the lights started getting darker than they already were, so you can hide how, the duct tape and stuff. And whereas then Strange New Worlds comes along and it looks really good. Well, Strange New Worlds, they were pinning their hopes on that. And of the shows they did, it probably, and it's hard to tell, there's all these different people claiming metrics and whatnot. Doesn't sell merchandise, which is mainly the main goal. But it apparently did better numbers than any of the others. So you got that, but not enough to keep it going. And they were pushing they wanted to go ahead and set up a new iteration of the original series because they'd already introduced Kirk and he would show up. And so they were hoping to move on to that once they ended the Pike story. But, well, they ran out of time. And it's just as well. Because there already is a series that explored that. But of course, this would be the alternate universe version. So there's that. All things happen differently. So, yeah. Those what if stories like what Marvel would do in the comics and DC with Elseworlds and stuff. They're fun and stuff, but it's kind of like a one shot. Say, look, it's Star Trek, only it's not. Cool, huh? So what was the point? Well, just to have a show. Well, if there's one thing Hollywood knows what to do with money is how to burn it. They've found all kinds of new and crazy ways of doing it. Wouldn't really call it creative, but so I don't know. We'll see what they can do with that, if anything. Not all that happy about they're going to pursue the movies first. Again, yes, just like I did in the video, I can see perhaps the thinking is to revive the franchise overall with another prequel. I don't know. But at least it'll be, because they've been chasing after this idea of basically just redoing what Enterprise was supposed to do, which was the early days of forming the Federation and everything. But if they're going to set it after Enterprise, which Scott Bakula and some writers have been running around pitching this, what is it, Federation United or Star Trek United or whatever, where he's the president of the Federation, which would mean it's already formed, I think. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. The minds are coming together on the premise, and so that'll be the deal. But it's hard to be optimistic after so many other elements of pooping the bed, you know. That's There we go. Spock. Yeah, this didn't work out well at all. This is terrible. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police. I'm loving Strange New Worlds. Well, to each their own. I found it very disappointing. I can see why it's better than STD, but you know. And they did have at least one episode, you know. I actually kind of like it. They had a couple this season that was, you know, better than the usual, only to be followed by disaster. Stuff like that. Too busy trying to be cute. And I don't know. I'm not going to miss it. I'm just going to be very disappointed because, you know, you had potential. You had a cast that probably could have done a good job, provided you gave them something. Well, they didn't. Captain Infinity Time Travel Release. I mean, inevitably, they got the time travel wrong by going malleable. Oh, you mean that episode where they went to that ancient ruin and had demons in it and all that? And if that, yeah. But the thing about the alternate timelines and stuff, it comes in to matter no matter how careful you are when you time travel into the past, you've already upset it. So how the hell that would work, you know, that can you go back to the timeline you were from, and if you do, it'll be as if nothing happened at all. But meanwhile, there's a timeline where it did change. I guess. So even when in the old Star Trek show, you can posit an argument that every time, you know, Kirk and Spock went back in time in those episodes, despite their best efforts to try to be careful about it, it's impossible. I mean, you're going to mess up things because you don't belong there. I mean, you can go to like the voyage home where they get silly, where Scotty reveals the formula for the necessary, I don't know, alloy they needed in order to produce the plastic polymers for him to build the cages for the whales. And then, of course, Sulu went and got it with the helicopter and all that. Well, And then McCoy's like, wait a minute, we're giving away future technology to the past. And then Scotty's like, hey, who's to say the guy isn't the one who invented it? Well, odds are he didn't. You might need to check that out. And then you discover he didn't really invent it. You guys just gave it to him. Jeez, I really screwed up this girl. Holy crap, did I screw her up? Jeez. That's embarrassing. So divergent timelines are, inevitable with those scenarios, because otherwise, the paradox and stuff. Oh, if you go back in time and you kill your grandpa when he was a young boy, then you cease to exist. Oh no, wait. If you cease to exist, then you never traveled back in time in order to kill him. So therefore, you exist. But wait, you're going to back in time, and you see. So the only way out of that is that, well, just going back in time has already created an alternate timeline to begin with, because you don't belong there. And if you kill your grandpa, you accidentally ran him over or whatever, you've created a timeline where you never existed. Not only you, but at least one of your parents never did either. So that's the deal. And the only way to get around that is that, it creates an alternate timeline. Which is why time travel should be forbidden. Yeah. Plus, it also kind of, what was the point of going back in time anyway? Well, I just wanted to find out what happened. Well, I guess initially you could have a pretty good accurate depiction of what actually happened in a certain event, because you're there to witness it. But going forward, I don't know. You kind of just disturbed the apple cart. So would it work? I mean, you can just approach it like it's all magic. It's like the Back to the Future deal. Marty's like, oh no, Biff's taking my mom away from my dad. Oh no. And then he looks at the picture of his family. He's disappearing. His hand is fading away and all that. No, it wouldn't be like that. And ultimately, it would be, there's this alternate timeline where Marty never existed. But he's not from that timeline, so he still exists. Yeah. Damn, I'm already forgetting what. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, 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 whoop. Man, I did a much better job on Wendy than any of this. Maybe I should have just stuck to or made them more cartoony. Can't draw worth a shit in this position either. Right? I don't have a good vantage point to see what the hell I'm drawing. The light doesn't help; it blasts it. But if I don't, you really can't see what the hell I'm doing. So But I don't know. The windy one worked out. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I mean, what are the odds that Strange New World suddenly becomes absolutely awesome in its last few seasons, you know? And well, too little, too late. Again, a lot of that stuff was still rumor, but I think it stands to look. I can't listen to that again. Let's see what the other one does. Maybe this one. There. Uh, and the real shame of it all, what a wasted bunch of years, you know? It's like all that crap. At least Marvel had a good 10-year run. DC, well, they had a couple of movies that were good. But Star Trek and Star Wars, I was never overly taken with New Who, but at least they had some good episodes. Quite a few in its initial run, and then it all had to go woke and fall apart and die and everything. So that's that. Isn't it a pity? Yes. Yes, it is. And I was robbed of those years. So let's say they right the ship and they get it all back and it's cool. I'll probably be dead by then. Damn it. So you see, that's why I'm so bitter over idiot films and TV shows. But it's all I got, okay? Here we go. Yeah, this is terrible. I'm gonna throw this away. This one I'm gonna do. Jeez. Jeez, take the pencil out and it's still crap. Man. I had to figure out some other way to position the camera. I don't know. Oh. God, I can't. How the hell did I mess this up so bad? All right, where did I put that? There it is. There it is. It's almost 6:00. Well, thanks to all the technical difficulties, won't get to all the other videos. But don't worry, they'll be put out. You'll see them. All right. Try to get this. Stop banging all over the place. There we got that. It's a little bit better. Jeez, his eyes are all crooked and stuff. Cut, what the hell is that? I smeared some damn ink on it. What, you see, it just can't win. No. Well, I was disappointed in the show anyway, so there we go. Oh, good Lord, almost 2 hours. I guess that'll do. So there you go. The Star Trek video will be out shortly on the channel. There's others. There's stuff about Marvel. I forget what else. Of course I do. Damn it. The MonsterVerse video TV series is coming back shortly, sometime early next year, I believe. And so that'll be there. And Shogun's got a season 2, so a new season of Shogun. And I believe that's another one. Takes place 10 years after the first season. So, yeah. And some DC stuff, Doomsday for Marvel, stuff like that. So there you go. Keep your eyes peeled for all your Nailsin goodies and all that. That'll be just such a joy for you to enjoy. A joy to enjoy. I mean, what else do you enjoy but joy? I can't think of anything, so. And now a word from our sponsor. There we go. Well, yeah, you can't see it. There it is. That's right. IndiePlanet.com/Douglas Nailsin. Well, it's Douglas with a little hyphen in between. Yeah. So you head over there and you're going to find Douglas Nailsin. No, not me, but my comic books. There's Doodleverse Comics. There's Etc. Woman. There's Night Night number 1. Night Night number 2. Night Night number 3. It's more about Night Night than anything else. And Sun King with special guest star Bubba Stargone. Yeah. So you head over there and you get yourself some Nailsin comics. Oh boy, there's Doodleverse Comics number 1. Oopsie Unleashed. And then, look at that. Oh, it's the toe. April back in the good old days. There's April dreaming about Nick. Oh no, there's Kevin upset, throwing darts at Pat Dixon's portrait while obsessing on Patrick Melton. There's Fuddle and a really badly drawn Stevie Lou. I just really screwed that up. But what are you going to do? Here's the Mud Shark complaining about his life, and he's obsessing about Carl at the time. But at the same time, the phantom image of Melton tells him it's all because he's a nerd. Or no, because you're dumb, nerd. You're dumb. Yeah. There's a lesson there somewhere. But anyway, that's what you can get your hands on when you head over to IndiePlanet.com. You can have print or digital or even both. And there you go. You'll have actual Nailsin comics like they used to be on paper. Oh boy, won't that be nice? I think so. I think, hey, look, it's almost Christmas time. Oh boy, look at the stocking stuffer potential. Don't you agree? Well, you should. Yeah. So there you go. Tonight's program brought to you by Nailsin Comics. Yeah. So there we go. There's my really bad attempt at drawing the Strange New Worlds cast members. By comparison, I guess it's Alien Earth for the win. I did a better job Doesn't really look like her, but still, it's just a better drawing. So we'll give that one the win. So when will I do another live stream? I don't know. Will I do one tomorrow in the morning? Can't promise that. Hopefully, once for Sunday comics, we'll see how that goes. And but then Monday night, sure, I'll probably do one. So there you go. But I'll be busy with work, so I'll be otherwise occupied. But there's always the next week. Well, probably not always, but let's hope there it is. So we'll visit again soon. Thanks for watching. Wait, let's check Super Tip and I'll refresh it, and it that's about damn near 3 weeks and no Super Tips. Oh boy, I got to do something entirely different. I don't know what, but none of this crap's working, So anyway, have a great... Oh, Captain Infinity Time Travel Police. Yep, exactly. Doug gets it. Can't change the past. Captain Infinity Time Travel Police. Star Trek 4 spits in the face of Edith Keeler. Well, I don't know if it's spitting or spat in her face, but yeah, they really violated all that stuff, But I mean, look, Kirk and Spock didn't know about that. That was between Bones and Scotty, and Bones was concerned, but Scotty just said, "Who's to say he didn't admit it?" Well, maybe you need to look that up, huh? Before you... Oh, well. It's not like all of that stuff was perfect, but by comparison of today's stuff, it's a masterpiece. So anyway, there you go. That's it for this edition of the Nailsin. What was this one? Oh, Nailsin Ratings Live. Yeah. Well, I did talk about Alien, Earth, and Star Trek, so it counts. And we'll do it again soon, whenever that becomes possible. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll visit with you at a later date. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Hollywood could really wish they would. There's no debating. All that's left is the Nailsin rating. The first feast from the corpse of the beast. Only after the feel of the vulture.